drone attacks, deep strikes, and diplomacy.
These are the three themes that dominated the Russia-Ukraine war in the last 2 weeks. On one side, you have Donald Trump pushing for a ceasefire, and on the other side, America's European allies are preparing for war. While the US is bringing Russia and Ukraine to the negotiating table, France, Germany, and the United Kingdom are arming themselves like never before. Trump's return to the White House and his threats of leaving NATO have left Europe worried. They are now ramping efforts to increase their military spending to prepare for the possibility of the Russia-Ukraine war expanding. Leading the pack is France. Emmanuel Macron is aiming high. He wants Paris to increase military spending from 2% to 3.5% of their GDP. Addressing French troops, Macron announced the procurement of new Rafale F-5 fighter jets.
I want to tell you that the Air Force will benefit from more orders of Rafales. This is a necessity in the current context. It is also a natural choice to integrate the effort of the airmen vis-a-vis Ukraine with the decommissioning of our Mirage jets. Yes, we will increase and accelerate our orders for Rafales. No one knows what will happen in the months, years to come. What I want is for us to be ready. What I want is for us to be protected. What I know is that thanks to this culture of commitment, to the strength of our armed forces, to the strength of our air and space forces, together, we will cope. Long live the Republic, long live France.
Vive la République. Vive la France.
France currently operates more than 230 Rafales, but these are the older F-4 variants. Dassault Aviation is yet to deliver the more lethal F-5 variants to the French Air Force, and the first deliveries are only likely to begin starting 2027. But here's what differentiates the two variants. The Rafale F-5 will include a new Active Electronically Scanned Array, or AESA radar. It's a modern electronic warfare system, a loyal wingman to penetrate enemy defenses. And, most importantly, it'll be integrated with the N18G hypersonic nuclear missile, which is France's secretive air-launched nuclear weapon that has been developed for the Rafale F-5s. Macron has pledged over $1.6 billion for the F-5 project, as he hopes to make the French Air Force completely capable of delivering a hypersonic nuclear payload. But along with France, other European allies too are modernizing their war capabilities. Once a military engineering powerhouse, Germany is diving back into its rich military tradition. Presumptive Chancellor Friedrich Merz wants to sanction over $650 billion over a 10-year period for modernizing Germany's military. This will include the purchase of new fighter jets, artillery systems, tanks, and weapons for the infantry. At the same time, the Germans are preparing for the future. They are enrolling for military training in large numbers.
I've always found the concept of the German armed forces interesting. I finally sent out my application after Russia invaded Ukraine, simply because it was clear that our security situation had changed fundamentally, and I simply wanted to make my modest contribution to ensuring our safety. You can smell the gunpowder, you can feel the recoil. It really makes you respect this weapon. And you realize that this is a machine designed to kill.
Germans are shifting their stance and turning towards the military, and joining them is their fellow NATO ally, the United Kingdom. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer has detailed plans for the war in Ukraine. He said London will never stop supporting Kyiv, and Starmer is willing to send British troops as peacekeepers in Ukraine. In a major show of force, Starmer inspected his nuclear submarine fleet. He onboarded the HMS Vanguard and interacted with the sailors. The HMS Vanguard is a nuclear-capable submarine. It was commissioned in 1993. It has 16 ballistic missile tubes and can carry around 12 submarine-launched ballistic missiles with nuclear warheads. It is one of the 9 nuclear submarines that the Royal Navy operates. Starmer's visit to the Vanguard was his message to Putin that Britain too was preparing for a showdown if Russia did not stop its aggression.
But it is vitally important we do that work, because we know one thing for certain, which is a deal without anything behind it is something that Putin will breach. We know that because it's happened before, and I'm absolutely clear in my mind it will happen again. Therefore, what you're doing here today is vitally important to peace and security across Europe, and for our NATO allies, and of course, crucially, for the United Kingdom.
As Trump and Putin agree to de-escalate tensions and stop the fighting in Ukraine, NATO's European members are turning up the heat. France, Germany, and Britain are arming themselves with lethal weapons. They fear Russia will not stick to the ceasefire. On the other hand, Vladimir Putin is accusing Europe of fueling the war. Putin is blaming Europe for constantly arming Ukraine. And the Russian leader says that Europe should not be allowed on the negotiating table because those countries don't want the war to end. Putin says he will only deal with Trump. And as Trump threatens to quit NATO, the bloc's European members are fueling an arms race. Caught in the middle is Ukraine, which is dealing with Putin's aggression on one side and Trump's hawkish business deals on the other. Will Trump and Putin achieve a ceasefire, or will Europe spoil the party?
Greeting you with aloha and namaste.
I love India.
Presence, occupation of a territory by another country pertains to India, what we saw in Kashmir.
The Prime Minister Modi.
How do you see Trump's America?
Yes, the current administration behaves differently from the previous administration.
Are you saying that there are foreign powers who are trying to bring down the current government in Syria?
Exactly.
Bluntly, Iran, maybe Russia too.
Prime Minister Modi committed to South-South, cooperation.
Not over 50%.
Is Ukraine prepared to pay the price for that peace?
No compromises at the cost of territorial integrity and sovereignty.